Welcome to Watching Washington. It's Friday, October 21st. I'm Avik Patel, and we are now less than 20 days from the 2022 midterm elections. Here's a look at what's happening lately in Washington. Control of the U.S. Senate is at stake in this year's midterms. We're following many tight races around the country, now including Utah. The Hill reports that independent candidate Evan McMullin gained significant ground on Republican incumbent Mike Lee in this historically red state. Currently, Lee is leading McMullin 41% to 37%. Here's something else that's interesting to note. McMullin has stated publicly that if he wins the election, he will not caucus with the Democrats or the Republicans. The U.S. Senate has two other independent members, Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Angus King of Maine. Both caucus with the Democrats. If elected, this would make McMullin the only senator to not caucus with either party. During McMullin's 2016 run for president as an independent, he won 21% of the vote in Utah. That's the highest out of all 50 states in that election. This week, the U.S. government opened a website allowing Americans with federal student loans to apply for up to $20,000 in debt forgiveness. President Biden highlighted this new debt relief site in a press briefing held on Monday. He calls the program a, quote, game changer for millions of Americans.
Studentaid.gov. You'll be able to fill out your name, social security number, date of birth, and contact information. No forms to upload, no special login to remember. It's available in English and in Spanish on desktop and mobile. It takes less than 5 minutes, and if you have any questions, you follow up. We will be able to follow up with you.
The goal of the Biden administration was to create an application that would be short and simple and would require just a few minutes to fill out. According to CBS News, about 95% of Americans with college loans are expected to qualify for forgiveness. While the program could help about 40 million Americans carrying debt from higher education, it has also drawn legal challenges from conservative lawmakers seeking to block the effort. But as of right now, the application site claims the Department of Education is on track to begin forgiving student loans in November and December. Student loan repayment is expected to resume in January following the end of a COVID-related pause. China held its Communist Party Congress this week, where President Xi Jinping is expected to gain a third term as the country's leader, made possible by the president's elimination of term limits in 2018. This Congress set priorities for the coming years of the Chinese Communist Party. President Xi's speech earlier this week addressed the country's socialist economic system and his firm opposition to an independent Taiwan, an issue many U.S. leaders have focused on in recent months. President Xi also addressed the importance of China becoming self-reliant to win the tech battle, a battle that has been in the spotlight since the U.S. Congress passed the CHIPS bill to increase innovation in America. With under 20 days until the midterm elections, debates are heating up in many races. In the past 2 weeks, candidates like Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, Marco Rubio and Val Demings, and Tim Ryan and J.D. Vance have taken the debate stage. The common theme in these debates have been the focus on the economy and abortion, two issues that Republicans and Democrats are using as a platform. Only time will tell if the emphasis on these respective topics will pay off for either party. Former Congresswoman and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard says she is leaving the Democratic Party. On her podcast, Gabbard said, quote, "I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party. It's under the complete control of an elite cabal of warmongers, driven by cowardly weakness." In 2002, Tulsi Gabbard was elected to Congress as the first Hindu congresswoman. She was a former vice chairperson of the Democratic National Committee. She ran for presidency in 2020. However, she dropped out of the race and supported President Trump. The House Select Committee investigating the attack on the Capitol on January 6th of 2021 recently held its 9th hearing last Thursday. During the hearing, the committee voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump to testify. The panel shared new testimony from Republicans who served in the Trump administration, along with new evidence by the Secret Service. The vote was unanimous, 9-0. President Trump responded on his Truth Social platform, calling the committee a, quote, total bust, and criticizing it for waiting until now to ask him to testify. Early voting is underway in 17 states, including in our state of Indiana. According to ABC News, the early vote count has already surpassed ordinary midterm results nationwide. In Georgia, where it is expected to be a tight race for U.S. Senate and for governor, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports the first day of early voting smashed records. 133,000 people cast their ballot in the first 24 hours. These last few midterm elections have had higher turnouts over the years, and this seems to be continuing where we left off in 2018. Remember, all states have different voting procedures. Some states will let you vote early in person. Some states don't offer early voting at all. As the midterm election nears, let's take a look at historical trends and what that could mean for the stock market. The last time the S&P 500 index produced negative returns during the 12 months after a midterm election was 1939. According to RBC Capital Markets strategist Lori Calvasina, a Democratic president and either a Republican-led or split leadership in Congress has been one of the best environments for stocks over time. According to NPR, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon was sentenced to 6 months in jail and will have to pay a $200,000 fine. Bannon defied a subpoena to testify before the January 6 committee. The Department of Justice accused him of evading the subpoena and exacerbating the attack on the Capitol. Bannon's lawyers argued that President Trump asserted executive privilege to bar his testimony. They've asked for a probation and stay out of jail. Bannon was indicted and faced an account for not appearing for a deposition and another for refusing to hand over the documents. Last week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order to extend early voting and mail-in ballots to about 1 million voters in 3 Florida counties: Lee, Charlotte, and Sarasota. The 3 counties are among the most severely impacted by Hurricane Ian. According to the Washington Post, they are all also historically red counties. These 3 counties are the only ones that will receive extended early voting days and mail-in ballots under this executive order. Other historically blue counties impacted by the hurricane were not included. DeSantis claims the decision was made, quote, based on the collective feedback of the supervisors of elections across the state and at the written requests of the supervisors of elections in those 3 counties. However, critics accuse the governor of politicizing a natural disaster and disenfranchising voters. Election Day is just over 2 weeks away, and some states have already started early voting. To talk about the significance of the midterm election, we have a special guest this week, Dr. Robert Browning. In addition to teaching courses on politics and political communication, Dr. Browning is also the director of the C-SPAN archives here at Purdue University. Dr. Browning, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Dr. Browning, you're the director of the C-SPAN archives. What should people know about the C-SPAN archives at Purdue?
Well, it's a little complex. I'm a professor of political science and communication and the executive director of the C-SPAN archives. These archives are technically not part of Purdue. They're part of C-SPAN, and they're located in the Purdue Research Park adjacent to campus. And we have on campus the CCSE, which is the Center for Scholarship Engagement of C-SPAN. So we have on campus research and teaching and engagement, and we have at C-SPAN the recording, and they work very closely together.
How can C-SPAN help voters get informed enough to vote in the upcoming midterms?
Well, there are lots of debates, and so you can really know the candidates across the country and get a sense of. Everybody says, well, what's going to happen? Is it going to be a Democratic year, Republican year? And by watching the debates and watching the candidates, the citizens can draw their own conclusions.
You mentioned debates and outreach. How has the midterm election campaign process changed over the years?
Well, there are more debates. There was some research that's suggesting that there are more amateurs running for office these days, people who haven't had prior political experience. Trump obviously represents that, and that many people file sort of say, we're going to change the system. So that's sort of a new phenomena.
Yeah, why don't we keep talking about that? You mentioned amateurs and lack of political experience. Why don't we talk about the role of celebrities in contemporary politics today? We have Herschel Walker running in Georgia. We have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson pondering the presidency, Matthew McConaughey pondering the presidency, President Trump getting the support of Kanye West. What do you think the role of celebrities will be in not just midterms, but public office as a whole?
Well, a key thing to remember is that the public doesn't have a whole lot of information. So if you take the average person in the average race, people people might recognize the name, but they can't recall it on their own. So name recognition is very important. And so that's what celebrities bring to the table, that name is already known. People know Kardashians, and not to say that they're going to run, but Donald Trump's name was known. It was on towers. And all the people you mentioned are celebrities that bring name recognition. Now, that's not so much important at the national level for president, because the presidents of candidates get a lot of publicity. But in local races and Congress races and Senate races, it makes a big difference in the raising of money, because people spend a lot of money just to get their name known. And that's what celebrities bring to the table.
About the subject of name recognition, research has shown that incumbents, especially in the House, do a lot better than non-incumbents. Would you be able to tell our viewers why that is?
It's name recognition. It's a record of service, that they do things for the district and people recognize the name. Like I just saw this morning paper that 2 bridges are going to be repaired in the county. So somebody will take credit for that. Biden, of course, in his infrastructure bill, but a congressman will also say, we helped bring this money to the district. So people recognize the name, they recognize the service that the people did, and it brings something to the table that the other candidate doesn't have.
There are a lot of issues at stake in this midterm election. Gun violence, abortion, inflation, voting laws, we can go on and on. What issue or issues do you think will emerge as the most significant in these midterms?
The price of butter and bacon. I think the supermarket and prices are high. People are noticing that. The same thing is true of gasoline, but gasoline has gone up and down, and it's kind of easy to deflect that and say it's the Middle East or it's Putin. But the grocery store prices are, I think, going to bother people. And I think there was an old expression going back to 92, it's the economy, stupid. And the economy is going to matter in these congressional races.
Going off of that, how do you think this election will impact 2024? If the Democrats win, how do you think that'll impact President Biden? And if they lose, how do you think that'll impact President Biden?
Well, President Biden says he's going to run. He will be a lame duck if he says he doesn't want to run. He will be a little bit of a lame duck if he loses control of the House and the Senate, because he can't get anything through. The House is very narrow in a Democratic margin, but it's allowed Nancy Pelosi, through discipline of her members, to get a number of things passed, like marijuana, election law reform, things of that sort. The sort of easy things for the caucus, the Democratic caucus, to do. It'll be a completely different agenda. It won't be the president's agenda. It will be the Republicans' agenda. And that then a lot of attention will come to Biden is what can he do, and can he change the Congress if he ran again?
As we are under 2 weeks away from the midterms now, would you tell our voters, our viewers who are voters, why they should vote in these midterms, especially those on Purdue campus?
Well, the Congress is all up for election, the House. Every member has to seek re-election every 2 years. It makes a big difference whether you have Democratic policies or Republican policies. In the 50s, people worried that the parties didn't stand for anything. They were Tweedledee and Tweedledum. But today, parties are very different. And if you elect a Democrat, you're going to get very different policies than if you elect a Republican. So if you care about the issues, if you care about issues like abortion or inflation or taxes or student loans, it makes a difference whether you elect a Democrat or Republican. The same way with the Senate, it's very narrow, it's 50-50. And it takes more votes than 50 to get things done in the Senate. And so voting in those elections can really make a difference.
A lot of political science students here have studied voter turnout for general elections and for midterm elections. Although it is still low compared to general elections this year, midterm election voter turnout is at record highs for midterm elections. Where do you see voter turnout for midterms in particular going from here?
Well, there is interest in this election, both because of the abortion issue from the courts and the economy. It won't set any records, but it will be better than it's been in the past.
Before we have to let you go, I'm going to ask you, what is your prediction for election night? Who will control the House and the Senate by the time November 8th is over?
Well, I'm not going to go as far as Newt Gingrich, who says it could be as high as 70 seats, but I think the Republicans will come out about 30 seats, 30, 40 seats at a gain and take control of the House. The Senate, I think, will be narrower, but where we find the Senate makes a difference is the quality of the candidates. Candidates having trouble with, like Herschel Walker, or that it's not so much choice on issues as it is on character. And I think Senate will narrowly become Republican.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much, Dr. Browning, for joining us today and all the insight you provided for this upcoming election. And thank you for watching our show today. We'll be back next Friday with another edition of Watching Washington. I'm Avik Patel. Have a great day.
The Center for C-SPAN, which is this organization, the CCSC, what we do is we facilitate like a bunch of organizations, different programs for Brian Lamb, which is the founder of C-SPAN. Anyone can be part of CCSC, whether it be through our various internships, our competitions, just to be involved, even like our student community meetings that we have every week. Anyone can go, you don't have to be communications or poli-sci. You just meet so many people, the connections you make is kind of crazy, the range that CCSC has. So yeah, it's just provided me so many opportunities to like kind of achieve the goals I have personally and forward to like whatever career paths I choose.
I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this tell 'em run it up.
Football. It's the best time of the year. You know what else is great? The world's largest and fastest mascot. You can't have Purdue football without the trains. Look for the Reamer Club outside Stewart Center, 12 to 5 p.m. on Fridays before home football games, for your chance to ride the Boilermaker Special for free. See you then!
Imagine a world where Olympics and Paralympics are unified as one, and where all athletes at all levels have equal opportunities to play and perform at their full potential.
Athletics has been such an influential and transformative aspect of my life. So to me, RISE is about ensuring that every person that has the desire to participate in sport has the opportunity to do so.
This organization is about recognition. We believe in recognizing excellence where it is found, especially in Paralympic sports.
RISE is about driving change in our community and beyond. We hope that through our events and initiatives, we can galvanize people for our cause and inspire them to create an ever-growing network to help achieve our mission.
It's about connecting people of various backgrounds and who truly care about creating meaningful change together.
We develop projects and hold events to bring people together at the interface of inclusivity, sports, and engineering.
Our goal is to promote the equality of all sports and to improve sports performance and accessibility.
Join us so that you can have a major contribution in creating meaningful change.
What does it take to be a Purdue tour guide? You've got to know your history. You have to know your facts. You've got to have that Purdue spirit. And you have to walk backwards.
Hi there, my name is Vikram Jaithlak and I'm the founder and president of the Purdue chapter of the University Blood Initiative. Over the past 2 years, we've been able to collect over 300 pints of blood to be donated to local hospitals, and you can be the next one to help out.
I donate my blood at the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Right, I donated my blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
And I donated my blood at University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Are you looking for a new hobby?
Or you want to have a fun evening with your friends?
Then come climb to new heights at the Co-Rec climbing wall.
Well, one of my favorite parts about being in the band is the homecoming parade we do every year. We all wear lights, and the audience just loves it. They just crowd the streets, and the kids love it. Their faces are just lit up, and I just love providing that entertainment for everyone.
We start usually like 4 hours before the game with our inspection, where they make sure we have all our uniform parts, and then rehearsal. And then we get to hang out as a section. The saxophones have some fun traditions. While we have our section tailgate, we usually play what we call sax polka. A lot of different songs we just start playing, and everyone else loves hearing us. I've gotten a lot of compliments on our pre-show stuff.
Anyone can join the All-American Marching Band. We have a bunch of different factors within it. One of them is obviously if you can play an instrument, you can be one of the marchers or players in the band. If you can twirl a flag, you can be in our color guard. If you can do a baton, you can be one of the twirlers. And we also have a dance team. So our whole organization is around 400 people big, and that's with all the different factions.
I really like all the traditions we have, and some of the choreography, and all of the traditions make band more fun and like make us unique from everyone else. I just think our band is very special compared to all the other college bands.
We've been a team since 1980, so my father founded the team back then, which was before I was born. And we've been competing ever since in the IHSA, which is the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association. We actually have levels all the way from walk-trot, which anybody can learn how to walk and trot a horse in their first lesson, all the way up to open, which is where they're jumping over jumps around 3 foot in height. So we have kids that have never ever ridden before. We have several international students on the team this year that have never even touched a horse, and yet they're going to be able to show probably next semester when they have a little more practice under their belt. We have a level for everybody, so we have kids that have literally never seen a horse in their life on the team.
It's a really great opportunity for students to learn to ride horses or to get back into riding horses, and it's really wonderful. I'm also a resident assistant, so I'm extremely busy all the time, but they still manage to make time to schedule in a lesson for me, which is fantastic, and I absolutely love everything about the team and the people on the team.
It is a little expensive for a club at Purdue, but we have to pay for our horses, so it costs right now $400 a semester to be on the team, which seems a little pricey, but for people that are used to riding, that's pretty cheap in the long run. They get about 10 lessons a semester. So that being said, we're just looking for good team players.
We love people who are open because we're a really, really close team and we all like to know each other. So we look for someone who's definitely open to being themselves.
Hi, pretty girl. Hello.
She's very sweet.
It makes me feel like I'm at home because I'm used to going to the barn every single day. And when I came here, I wanted to look for something like that in the equestrian team, and I miss my horse, so this kind of helps. You can make a lot of close friends. It's a nice group of people that friendships can last for a lifetime.
Involved in the 3-year program at Purdue made it easier to say to myself I could get done in 3 years. The 3-year program helped save me a ton of money. Not completing my 4th year, I would save around $30,000. It will give you an advantage, if anything. Doing the 3-year program at Purdue has shown me that I have motivation to do whatever it takes to get my degree.